Well,
Use it for your
it'll be recorded, so everything you say is going to be there. These get posted on YouTube. So I used to use a secure site where you had to have a link to get to it, but these now get posted on YouTube. So anybody who does a search can find it. So any poor soul out there bored on a Saturday night can pop some popcorn and load up one of my math videos and invite over some friends and have a party. Yeah, sounds like a great time. I know. So anyway, you can see you'll see me on here sooner. Pretty soon I'll actually wipe off the webcam and it'll just be the screen like that. So in Blackboard you got the main announcement. Really the stuff that's useful for you is all under this course information button. If you click on that, it has my syllabus, which we're going to look at in a minute. It has my contact information. Of course, my name is Todd Huff. You guys can all call me Todd. We're all adults, so there's no need for titles here. My phone number and extension is there. Not terribly useful because I'm never in my office, but you can leave me a voicemail. Probably the best way to get a hold of me is through email. I have a computer right in the room, and I do check email usually around twice a day, sometimes more often. So I'll get back to you pretty quickly. Or if you need to miss class, you need to notify me, I'll have it. And email, of course, has a time on it, so I know exactly when you notified me, so I know you did it ahead of class or whatever. Voicemail, I will check that about once a day, so it's not quite as quick as email, but I will get the message. My office is up in the office area. I'm almost never there, so usually you'll find me here. If you need me for something, I'll be in this classroom. I think every day that I have your class, though, I have a class right before it, except for maybe Fridays. So it might be a little harder to find time to come in and see me.
At the beginning of class, you want us just to come in like we did today, or
well,
you want
to just stop at the door and look at if there's people in the seats. Yeah. Just hold on for a second, and once they start coming out, then come on in. But yeah, if you look in here and the room's empty, you don't have to wait by any means. You can just come right on in. Right. This is going to be a copy of my schedule for each week. You can see this is your class here and here and here. So you can see I have a class in front of this one every day, so it's going to be hard to come in. But I'm always free after class. I know you guys have other classes you got to run to after this one, but we'll figure something out. There is time built in at the end of each class for homework, so questions and stuff like that usually can get answered in that time as well. Other than that, if you need to see me outside of that schedule, I said you almost have to come in an hour earlier to find my free time. Anywhere it says office, I will definitely be around the building. Usually I'm in this classroom, except for sometimes there's other classes in here. So unless there's another class in here, I'll be in this room. Where it says assigned time, I'm generally in the building during those times as well, unless I've got projects outside the building that I'm supposed to be working on.
So your schedule's on Blackboard?
Yep, that's on Blackboard too. Right there. Again, that's all under course information. And it's under course information down here. Of course, there are no classes so far, so down here is where the links to the recordings will appear too. So you just click on those and go to YouTube and view those as well. So let's get to the syllabus. Since you guys are the night section, you haven't seen a dozen of these already today, so you're not sick of them yet. So you've got my information out there, my contact information. We've already just looked at that. Well, room, time, and location. Well, you're here, so we don't need to go over that. So the big things we need to go over is class description. You're asking a little bit about algebra and geometry. There's some basic algebra in here. There is basic geometry, like I said, areas and volumes and spatial dimensioning and stuff like that, because you guys have some blueprint reading you have to do. For the most part, the geometry concentrates on measurement and measurement conversions. And then a lot of the basic numbers, fractions, decimals, percents are huge, proportion, ratio, stuff like that. To list it out, actually textbook I should do quick. You guys all get this textbook. Yours hopefully a little less beat up than mine. Okay, perfect. So everybody's got that. That's one straight up. Also, it says on here, highly recommended, a scientific calculator. I can't stress enough how highly recommended it is. It's really helpful to have one. You don't need anything fancy. You don't need a graphing calculator or anything like that. Just a basic scientific calculator. In fact, I have one in here. I do still. Just like these, like the TI-30 is the one I use. It's usually the simplest to use. It works the best on most of the stuff we do. So if you don't have one, this would be a good one to look for at Walmart, Shopko, anywhere around town. They're about 12 or 13 bucks. So they're not bad. Spend the extra $1 or $2 and get solar because the batteries die, and then it's like 6 or 7 bucks to replace the batteries. If you have a calculator that you already own and want to use, if you're not sure if it'll do everything we need it to, just come talk to me and I'll take a look at it and let you know. But like I said, it's really tough to get through the course without a calculator. And I know a lot of you have cell phones with calculators on them. I'm not going to stop you until you can't use them, but they don't usually work that well. They usually round off. There's some funny round off quirks in them and stuff like that. And also during tests and stuff, if you're using a cell phone, I will probably check on you once or twice just to make sure. We've had issues in the past with people texting friends outside the room while they're taking tests. So we do have to worry about that. Not that I don't trust you, but we got to be careful. This is the list of topics for the course. These are what we call the competencies, or the actual formal topics that are supposed to be in the course. That doesn't mean we won't pull in a couple of other things just because they're things you need, like reading calipers and micrometers and things like that. We will touch on that, and we'll throw in some applications that are important for welding and things like that. But these are the main topics. If you're looking through that list and you're looking at that saying, I know all of that and I know how to do it really well, there are some options for you. If you've had pretty much any other college level math course, there's a chance that you could be able to transfer it in and receive credit for this one. The second option is there is a test out possibility. The test out does cost you a little bit. It's $20 per credit. So since this is a 2-credit course, it would cost you $40 to attempt the test out. When you take the test out, I believe currently there are 2 sections on it. One section where you don't use the calculator. You can't use a calculator and you have to add numbers, fractions, decimals, stuff like that, do conversions. Then there's a second section where it's applied. It's word problems and percents and ratio and proportion and stuff like that. And the basic geometry and stuff is on there. You have to have at least an 80% on that test out to pass. If you get the 80%, you get refunded your money for the course, which is like 280 bucks or something like that. And then you have this time free every day. If you don't get 80%, you lose your 40 bucks that it cost you to take the test and you're stuck back in here with me. If it's something you're considering doing, come talk to me more and I'll give you a better idea of what to study and what to expect on it. Those topics look really simple, but I'll tell you this, my past experience is about 1 out of every 3 people that take the test out pass it, which was a big surprise to me because I figured half my class would test out. People have had algebra, geometry, and algebra 2 in high school, you'd think, but the applications are more difficult than you realize when you start doing the word problems and stuff like that. So like I said, if you're interested, come talk to me and I'll give you more information. I'm sure what you're all interested in or worried about, one of the 2 is grading. You're graded on, there's two separate categories. We have your tests and quizzes as the first category. That is 80% of your grade. There are 5 units in this course, so there are 5 unit tests. Each of those is 100 points. Quizzes will happen about anywhere from 2 to 4 hours of class. I think you guys might squeak by. You might get a quiz on Wednesday this week, just because we have the 2-hour class today. Otherwise, you might squeak by and not get a quiz till next Monday. But there will usually be a quiz, at least 1 quiz each week. And those are anywhere from 8 to 20 points. And that's kind of... The reason I do that so often is because your homework there, the 20% where it's homework and class participation, I have about 130 some students this semester. There's no way I'm going to be able to collect your homework and go through it and grade it. And I don't want to, because to me homework is your practice. That's for you, not for me. So I do the quizzes every few days just to make sure that nobody's getting really far behind. So that 20% for homework, like I said, it's basically making sure you're showing up for class and participating in class. I will at times, you'll come into the room and I'll have a problem up on the board for you. and just sit down and start working on the problem, and that's where we'll start our discussion for the day. It might be a review of something we did in the last class. It might be a review from a week or two before, or it might be something that leads us into our new topic for the day. And most of the time, you'll work on that and we'll discuss it, but every now and then, so I recommend you put it on a separate sheet of paper each time you start out. Every now and then I might say, hey, you know what, tear that out and hand it in and let's see how you guys did. I won't necessarily grade it for accuracy. If you made some mistakes, that's not a big deal. I will grade it for the fact that you were working on it and thinking through it and putting in the effort on it. And so that'll be part of your homework grade as well. So you can see that homework grade shouldn't be real tough for you to earn. The grade scale there is the standard WITC grade scale. If you have any questions, let me know. You'll see that one a lot tonight, I'm sure. Other than that, it's just standard procedures. If you want to drop a course, what do you have to do? My standard response when a student asks me about that is go down to student services and ask, because there are certain deadlines. If you drop, in the first couple days of class, there's refunds and stuff like that. But it changes after so many days. Then it's a partial refund. I don't want to tell you wrong, so I'm not going to get into how that works. Then at a certain point in the semester, I think it's at 80%, you can't drop the class anymore. So if it's something where you think you might have to, or if you're struggling and you want to drop and try it again some other time, make sure you know what those days are. Your grades for this class, we mentioned Blackboard for the syllabus and stuff. I don't use the Blackboard gradebook, however, because I don't like the way it calculates grades. So your grades are going to be in a place called My WITC. If I can get this thing to go. There. Again, should be the same username and password as you have for your email and for Blackboard. When you log into My WITC, you'll have I have Student Center and Faculty Center. You would click on the Student Center, and that would give you a list of the classes you're taking. I'm not currently taking any classes, so mine's going to be pretty, not much on there. But you'll have a list of classes. Right here under Academics, you should list classes. So you click on the class, on this class, it'll bring up the grade book for you. Obviously, right now, there aren't any grades there. Other than that, the rest of this, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it. It's your standard policies and procedures. Don't cheat. Don't misbehave or do anything that we're going to have to discipline you for. All that other stuff that I don't want to talk about, but we have to these days. And then just a little statement of, that the class is recorded, so make sure your behavior is appropriate. All that stuff. As I said at the beginning, don't say anything you don't want recorded for prosperity. And then this is just a list of the units. We start out with whole numbers, fractions, decimals, percents, measurement and geometry, measuring devices and algebra. We look at reading different meters and different scales and stuff like that along with the algebra. And then our ratio and proportion. Any questions on procedures, policies, grading? We'll talk.
You have practice tests for each one of them?
No, I don't. But the problems on the tests pretty much come out of your homework problems. If you've done your homework problems, you're ready for the test. When I do my tests, you're allowed to use your notes and your homework and your books. So it's not terribly stressful. I try to make it as more practical and less stressful as possible.
No, I was talking about for the test out early.
Oh, for the test out early?
Yeah.
No, we don't. We talked about doing that before. We decided against it. They do have a sheet an information sheet, but basically what that information sheet gives you is just that list of topics right there.
Okay.
So if it's something you think you're interested in, let me know and I can talk to you more about it. But the biggest thing people miss is the word problems. In the algebra section, there'll be a word problem that asks you to write the formula or create the formula for this problem. A lot of people miss those. And like I said, about 1 out of 3 is really all that pass. So it's not as much as you'd think. But like I said, we can talk about it more if you're interested.
Yeah.
I don't want you to make an informed decision. I'm not trying to talk you out of it by any means. Just want to make sure you're well informed before you go in there, so you don't get taken by surprise.
Oh yeah. So just work on what you need to work on.
Exactly.
Go take your test.
Yep.
That's okay.
Yeah, the biggest thing is you got to have the test done by the end of this first week.
Oh, okay.
So in fact, I believe since you guys don't have any classes in this this class is done on Wednesday for you guys. I think you have to have it done by the end of Wednesday, but you can check with student services just to
You
make
can't
sure.
do it anytime then.
No, it has to be done in the first week of class.
Okay.
So, my understanding, if we can use our notes and stuff, if we do the homework, generally we have to have.
You know, this is my 16th year here now. Holy cow, I'm getting old. In 16 years, I've only had maybe one student that showed up every day, did their homework, and didn't pass. So yeah, pretty much if you're here and you're working, you're probably going to make it through.
Oh, okay.
Most of the ones that don't pass are the ones that miss, you know, at least an hour a week, you know, or sometimes more than that, unfortunately. Okay, well, I'm going to end this recording now here so you can